So I don't know when I talked about this, but like this thought that I had seemed familiar, like I had already said it before. Maybe I just kind of thought about it at another time when I was talking to someone, and it wasn't something that I ever wrote down, but I thought that I had already done a video where I mentioned this, but I went back and I watched all of my talks and I didn't find it. So basically, in the creation story of the Bible, it said that God created us in His image. Um, and that's assumed, and I could be wrong about this, but I believe everyone pretty much assumes that it's referring to our physical appearance, as in, we look like what God looks like. And so when people draw depictions of God, what does He look like? A human. Um, but I disagree. I don't think that makes sense. I don't think that's right. I think that's mainly the hubris of man there to assume that we look like God. I don't think God necessarily has a form, and I've said this before, but I'm not crazy religious, but I do believe that there is some kind of higher power or intelligence to the universe, whether or not that is just the flow of entropy and order and disorder, or whatnot. I think that, whether or not you want to classify it as science or whatnot, whatever is running the universe and however the universe developed to this point and is continuing on, I think that you could definitely see that as God. But that's not necessarily like a form, that's just a being. It is. Like, it's everything and nothing. And I think that that's more descriptive of what God is and should be. I don't think it's just some man in the sky. I think that that's not right. Anyway, so basically, what I think that this meaning is when it's said that man was created in God's image, or humans were created in God's image, is that, God created everything, right? And then He created us. And He created us with the ability to also create. And I think this is what is meant by we were made in His image, or God's image. God was a creator, and humans can create. Humans have ideas. Humans build things. We make art. We do all kinds of stuff. And I think this is what was actually meant by we were made in God's image. And I don't know if I necessarily have anything more to say on that. Basically, God creates, and so does man. And I don't think that necessarily makes us gods, but it does make us in God's image, in my opinion. And I do think that the ability and the power to create is incredible, and the fact that anyone and everyone can do it is something truly special, which is, again, going back to why I think more people should create art. And art is not just painting and drawing. Art is innovating, it's technology, it's developing the world of science. There is a craftsmanship, to this. And this is another talk. I don't know if I actually posted this one. I think that this one never did get posted, but there is, like, you can paint, right? But you can also make a sword or a hammer, or some kind of tool, and the crafting of that tool is an art form. There's skill involved. you're shaping it, you're making it into what it is, that's art. Building a house, putting it together, designing it right so that it all works. I think that that's an art. Engineering a bridge so that it doesn't fall over, running all the calculations. I think that's art. Any, I don't, I'm not very versed in science, but anything in science, there is art to it, and we are creating and discovering and thinking of new ways to live and do things, and I think that all of that is kind of tied under the world, or the umbrella of art and creation, and anything that's a new idea, innovating or building anything, is something that I want to promote more. But I think the easiest thing for everyone to do is just, the generic, painting, drawing, things like that. You can dance, sing, play music on an instrument, things along those lines. Those have an easier bar of entry. So that's why I want to promote those more, because it's easier for people to get into those things. So it's less restrictive on who can and can't do that. Everyone can draw. As long as they have a pencil in their hand, they can draw something, and if they don't have hands or something along those lines, you can still make art. If there's a will, there's a way. And that's kind of what I want to promote more, because I truly think that that's pretty much what we're here to do. I in a way I almost feel like God or the universe or whatever was like, listen, I've had my fun. Now let's see what you do. And I think that's kind of funny and kind of cool, and let's not disappoint, I guess. Yeah. Peace out.